Hello, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the City of McAllen Employee Wellness Division live lunch, where every Friday between 12:20 and 12:40 you get a 4-credit session on a wellness topic. Today we're talking about foam rolling and myofascial release and why it is that people do that. So why do we do foam rolling? Our bodies are not always as good at their jobs as we need them to be, as far as getting fresh nutrients to the systems, to the organs, for removing waste or getting rid of the things that are created in the metabolic process. There are many reasons why our systems can fail at doing this. Examples include varicose veins, lack of mobility, diseases, viral, bacterial. So manually being able to push the tissues around and working with the fibers can help the circulation of the body and also hopefully improve the function of the muscles so that they can work the way that they were intended to work. So when our tissues do stop functioning properly, or when do they do that? It's because we're supposed to be in constant motion. Life on the run, from one second to another, looking in the canopies of the jungle of the roof for dangers overhead, doing second by second analysis of what's in front of us when we're running. So because of that, our ancestors had reason to be in constant motion. In our modern times, we stay stuck to our screens of our computers. We stay stuck to the view that we get out of the front of the windshield of our vehicle, and it's always in that same place. And because the muscles don't get a chance to work in many different directions, they build up a fascia, and that fascia is there naturally. It's there because it's supposed to be a superstructure that's supposed to support the muscle fibers and hold them in place. But when the muscles feel as though they're not being used, they allow themselves to be wrapped up in the fascia. And then the fascia becomes like a hardened substance, and it prevents movement. Manual manipulation of the muscles then can be like combing your hair. It could be like working through the fibers and breaking up the muscle bundles, and also to send a signal to the fascia that those muscles are in fact being used and that they're not supposed to be put into like a plastic storage. And what does that look like when we get knots, when we get bundles? It looks like this. So got a picture of it right here. This, in the neck, we have bundles of fibers, of the muscle fibers, that once they've become glued into place because they're not being used properly, they're dysfunctional. Next time the person tries to move their neck in a way that is different from their normal, those bundles are now stuck together, and it causes a pain sensation that might lead people to think that they're actually injured when they're not. So you use foam rollers and you use other types of equipment that I'll show you right now to break up the muscle fibers and to separate them out so that they can go back to functioning the way that they're supposed to. We call that myofascial release. So here's a couple of other bits of equipment that you can get a hold of for self-myofascial release. Come in all different shapes and sizes. We have a stick that you can hold on to across your back. We have different thicknesses and different textures for the different foam rollers. So don't judge a foam roller because of how hard or soft it is. Don't judge a foam roller about the different materials it can be made out of until you get a chance to use it. So recommendation is, if you've never used a foam roller before, you can come and see us at CSI. We're there every Tuesday and Thursday and Saturday, and they have several foam rollers there that you can try out. And once you've tried it out, then you can know what hardness or softness would work well for you. And as you can imagine, when you first start off, if you've never used a foam roller before, if you never used a foam roller before, there's going to be a pain reaction to it because it's something unnatural to you. Once you've used several foam rollers and have several sessions of therapy that you've done for yourself, you'll be surprised that some of our more advanced foam rollers will just go to Home Depot and buy themselves a PVC pipe, maybe about the same size as you see here, with absolutely no padding on it, because they know what bones and what structures to stay away from. They stay strictly on the muscle belly. So that's one thing that I would recommend in this time that we have together, is that you start looking at your functional anatomy and you use the foam roller to only get into the muscle belly. So when we say muscle belly, what we're talking about is between the connection with in the heart of the muscle. That's where you can break up those fibers. It doesn't do any good to foam roll on your spine. It doesn't do any good to foam roll on your actual clavicle. It's not gonna. That doesn't do much benefit, because wherever the bone has no muscle in between and the skin's right on top of it, there's going to be a pain sensation, a pinching pain sensation, but there won't be any actual therapy. So what you want to do is you want to look for the larger muscle fibers throughout your body and use the foam roller strictly there until you can get more sophisticated. And as you get more sophisticated, finding out the different places that you can affect with a foam roller, you might even switch to something even smaller like this, because this is a more specific tool. Great for shoulders, traps, looking for the smaller muscle fibers that. Sorry, we lost it for a minute. It's called trigger point, and that is you are looking for hot spots, specific places that have been identified through many case studies as the points where bundles of muscle fibers have a tendency to stick together and stay stuck together. Now, lately there's been a trend to make fascia into the bad guy, into saying that, okay, if fascia wraps up muscle fibers, we want to get rid of it. Fascia is essential for the muscles to be able to do their job and to function, because it is the wrapping that holds the muscles in place. So you don't want your fascia to be hard, unpliable. You want it to be flexible and movable. You want it to be a system that supports the movement of the muscles. So when should you use foam rolling then? When are you going to use myofascial release? It's going to be in the presence of muscle imbalances. So you're going to find out, if you go and you see a personal trainer, or you go and you talk to a movement specialist, they will put you through a series of assessments, and those assessments will help them to show you where it is that you have weaknesses, muscle imbalances. What that means is that one muscle might be functioning harder than the other, or it might have more strength than the other, and that will pull your musculoskeletal system out of alignment. So here we have one type of assessment that's called the overhead squat assessment. So just as the name indicates, you're going to squat with your hands over your head, and based on the way that your kneecaps move in or out, based on the way that you hold your lower back posture, the way that you hold your shoulders, and the height and the 3 planes of motion that you can show movement in, a therapist can then diagnose where you have dysfunctions, and then you can foam roll on those dysfunctions, and over time with the therapy be able to remediate or be able to fix the issue before it becomes an injury. So a lot of times doing foam rolling is actually a great way to do injury prevention. And when you're going from doing no exercise to doing an exercise program, remember that the exercise program So we're back again talking about foam rolling and talking about the injury cycle. So when you're going from doing an exercise that maybe you've never been accustomed to doing before, and then you start to do that exercise, several of the muscle bundles which are now wrapped in fascia are going to have to work properly all of a sudden. So rather than doing that, a lot of times instead they become injured. So if you are planning on starting starting an exercise program, then it would be a good idea to start your program with somebody who is a certified trainer, a licensed massage therapist, somebody who has a degree in kinesiology or physical therapy, so that they can identify where your weaknesses are at, and in those cases be able to give you some exercises or show you how to do myofascial release for yourself, so that over time you can correct those imbalances and prevent an injury. So again, when you see people doing self-myofascial release, or they're doing foam rolling before their workout, if they were trained properly in what they're supposed to be doing, what's really happening is they are allowing for the muscles that are imbalanced to become balanced with the muscles that are functioning properly. I'm just going to go over a couple of examples of what foam rolling looks like, and maybe describe what's going on in the pictures, so that if you are to do it on your own, because again, this whole program is to kind of introduce people to things that maybe they wouldn't have time to get out and do on their own. They can just see this and say, okay, I think I can copy that. I can go get my own foam roller and try it out. So let me just give you some practical advice of what you might want to stay away from when doing foam rolling, or what you might want to encourage. So here we have some calf foam rolling exercises, right? Just underneath the calves in both. Notice the issue with this person, if they're going to be injured by doing this exercise that's supposed to rehabilitate them, is not going to happen in the calf area. It's actually going to happen up here in the shoulder area. A lot of times when people are doing their calf foam rolling, sorry about that. Since we're talking about the calf foam roll here, so the calf foam roll, by trying to go too far, by trying to do the entire muscle belly of the calf, she might actually hyperextend or overextend the shoulder and cause an injury or an aggravation in the shoulder. When you're doing foam rolling, it's okay to do small sections of the muscle at a time. You don't need one large swipe of the muscle. So when you're doing your foam rolling, look for the hot spot, then readjust your hands and your shoulders, reposition yourself to get a good leverage. Once you get that good leverage, then you work on the next section. So the great thing about foam rolling compared to going to a massage therapist, so I'm not saying one's better than the other, but what I can say is that you have more time to work on your individual issues piece by piece, and work on that same issue several times in the day, versus going to a massage therapist who will do the entire head to toe within about an hour. So being able to do these things for yourself means that you're going to speed up your recovery time, and that you have more control of whether or not a small injury is going to turn into a large injury. So you want to take that time before and after your workouts to do your foam rolling, so that you can be in charge of keeping yourself safe. You can also work on the biceps femoris. You're working on also the quadriceps, working on the hamstrings, both the front and the back of the leg. This one is the one that is a hot topic among physical therapists, massage therapists, and runners. The IT band, because when foam rollers first came out, people were all about that IT band, because people have several IT band issues, especially if you're a distance runner and your posture is to where you really use that IT band as almost like an extra muscle to help get your propulsion going. So several runners who have IT band issues spend a lot of time rolling on their IT band. The idea of rolling on the IT band is not to soften the IT band, because that's not going to happen. What is going to happen though is you're rolling on the IT band, but right to the front, to the back of that IT band, inside and outside of that IT band, are several small synergists, several smaller muscle fibers that just by activating those muscle fibers, you increase the blood flow to the IT band, keep it at least from being aggravated, and you're able to avoid injury. So again, if you see somebody rolling on their IT band, it's okay. It's just you don't want to stay on that thing for 5 or 10 minutes trying to get it to soften up, because it's not going to. And by the way, every single one of these exercises that we're doing here on the foam roller should take about maybe 1 to 2 minutes for each movement. This is during your warm-up or your post-workout. Here's one that's often overlooked. Great for the pectorals, great for the shoulders. I think there was one more that I wanted you guys to see before we close up. And the reason I wanted you to see it is because you can actually use more than one type of tool at a time. For example, here, he's working his adductor, working the adductor. Notice that there is a foam block underneath the adductor. So if you find yourself having a hard time getting leverage, go ahead and look for extra blocks and extra ways to set yourself into the perfect position. Again, if you're going to see a massage therapist, you're already on a table, and the table is set to the right height to get a good pressure so that the therapist can do their job. When you're doing your own therapy, don't be in such a rush that you just swipe the muscle with the foam roller one time and then say, okay, well, I did it. I did the magic move. No, you have to spend the time to really feel and look for those hot spots inside of the muscle belly, and then have them to Okay, so before we lose the signal again, I just want to close out by saying thank you everybody for supporting, for watching, and for working on your wellness. I hope this helps you on your way to feeling better, having increased energy. And come by and see us here at the City of McAllen Wellness Program, or the City of McAllen Wellness Division. And we're downtown employee benefits. If you want a mini lesson on any topic from nutrition, working with resistance, getting good recovery, those are the types of lessons that I can provide for one individual, a group of people, an entire department. We're available from 9 to 5 most days except for Tuesday. Running. It'll be a running past, present, and future class, and we will be talking about running shoes, running styles, what's changed in running, what's coming up in the near future, what kind of technology are we using for becoming better runners. So it should be a good class. You don't have to register for it on employee benefits, but it is listed there. So until next time, thanks for watching.